Stay tuned for Airgun Detectives.
Another episode of Airgun Detectives. Today we're going to take the mystery out of the Umarex Gauntlet PCP. And what do I have for you guys? I have both the 25 caliber and the 22 caliber. So we're going to run both these through the test and show them to you. I'm pretty excited about these. Before we get started, do me a favor. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button down there in the corner. If you'd like to be notified when we come out with new videos, please hit the little bell right there. And please, if you like what we're doing, love the encouragement, just a quick thumbs up. Your comments are welcome. In addition to that, see the little exclamation mark kind of in the corner? That's a direct link to my new website. I have some cool stuff there, and I'm trying to come up with some different little articles, and you can also catch my videos on that website. But check it out, www.Airgun Detectives. All right, back to business. So what we have here is the Umarex Gauntlet PCPs. These are regulated PCPs, and if you don't know what regulated means, it means it keeps the pressure the same on every shot until obviously you get down to that level. So these two guns are pretty much identical, but they perform completely different. We have the 22 caliber here. They both come with these rotary magazines. Let me show you these real quick. If you can see these are the typical rotary magazines. The 25 caliber holds 8 shots. The 22 caliber holds 10 shots. So you get 2 more shots out of the 22. In addition to that, you have a single shot tray for each one of them. So if you just want to shoot these in single shot. And they also come with a little degasser. So if you actually want to degas it, take the air out of it, maybe to remove the bottle or what have you. They both have a 13 cubic inch tank. They're identical tanks. You fill them to 3,000 PSI. So now the difference is between the two of them. Okay, the 22 caliber is regulated at 1,100 PSI. So you're getting 1,100 PSI per shot. Well, with that, it gives you about 60 shots of fill. And we'll test that and we'll show you how that works out. But it's, in my experience, that's exactly what you're going to hit is 60 shots. The 25 caliber, on the other hand, the big difference between this one, it's regulated to 1,900 PSI. So with that, you're only going to get about 27 shots. So this thing is an air hog, but you're also going to get about 45 foot-pounds of energy out of it. So this is like a hunter's dream. Also, in addition to that, what this one came with is also it's got a barrel band on the top of the gun right here, which the 22 caliber doesn't have the extra barrel band. Maybe a little extra stability if you're out in the field hunting, what have you. Neither one of these guns came with the bipods that are on here. I actually put the rails on here. Let me move one of these out of the way here real quick. I'm going to show you. Okay, so the bipods on these guns, I actually put the rails on the bottom of them right here, and that was a pretty simple process. I just drilled a couple of holes. There's actually a metal mounting plate through there, so I put some nuts and washers on that, and that's how we get the little bipods on here. Anyway, very easy to work on. Basically, both the guns are, like I said, pretty much identical as far as, except the regulation as far as how they're regulated, and as far as this one has the barrel band on it, which is a 25 caliber. But they're both 46 inches long. They both have 23.5-inch barrels, and they both weigh about 8.5 pounds. They both have adjustable cheek rests on the back of them. This, you just have to loosen up the swivel here on the bottom, and then you can adjust it with this knob to your liking, whatever height that you would like on that. So that's pretty cool. They both have the dovetail mount for your scopes. I like the higher scope mounts on these, and reason being is that way I can get in and out the magazine in and out of this. Both these guns, you can decock them. So if it's cocked back like this, you just pull the trigger and just slide it gently forward until back into locking, so you can actually decock them, which is kind of nice. In addition to that, these have what they claim is a 2-stage trigger. It's not. It's a single-stage trigger. But oh my God, these are one of the easiest trigger mechanisms to work on. You don't even have to have a lot of experience. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to try to make some time at the end of this video to show you how these can be adjusted. But out of the box, they're around 3 pounds. I've got these things, well, you'll see. I'm going to do a trigger test on them. but I have these lightened up a lot, but there's just not a whole lot to working on them. I mean, it's a really great little package here. So, again, like I said, they're regulated, so you'll need some type of air source to fill these. These have the standard little nipple here on these, where these need to be filled right in here. So you got your standard nipple. And basically, so the 25 caliber, as I said, is 1900 psi. So you can be able to you'll be able to shoot it from 3000 all the way down to 1900 psi, and that gives about 1900 psi on every shot. So it gives you some consistency. Then you'll have to fill it back up. The 22 caliber, obviously, from 3000 psi, you can go all the way down to 1100. So let's see how well these do through our test, and then we'll come back and talk about it, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned for the next segment. Let's see how our Gauntlet 22 does over the chronograph. Let's shoot 5 shots. We'll see what the average is. A couple of good accurate pellets in this, but for now we're just going to use the 15.89 grain JSBs. They're the exact Jumbo Diablos. So let's just do 5 shots with the JSBs and see how well we do over the Chrony. All right. Shot number 1. Shot number 1. 808. Shot number 2. 811. Shot number 3. 814. Shot number 4. 809. And shot number 5. 805. You can see that standard deviation is very low. This gun's also very quiet. The 22 caliber one is very quiet. It's totally backyard friendly. But let's move on. Let's test our 25 and see how it does over the Chrome. Obviously a big difference between these two models. The 25 caliber is definitely set up for hunting. It expels a lot more air. It's much more of an air hog. It's a lot louder. But anyway, we're going to shoot the JSB 25. These were one of the most accurate pellets in it. The 25.39 grain. The King Diablos. So let's shoot 5 of those across the Chrony. We'll see what type of velocity we get and what types of foot-pounds of energy we get. So let's see what we got here. All right, shot number 1. 911. Shot number 2. 891. Shot number 3. 892. Shot number 4. 894. 897. And let's just do one more for the heck of it. 895. There again, regulated PCP, low standard deviation. Wait to see the accuracy on these things. So let's move on to the next segment. Let's test the accuracy on our 22 caliber Gauntlet, see how well it does. Yes, we're at our usual 20 yards. Take a look at that. And we're going to see how well we can do. We're just shoot 5 shots. We're going to look for grouping on this. I found 3 pellets performed really well in this gun. You got your JSB 15.89s, your JSB 18.13s, and your Barracuda match, the 21.14 grain. They actually work really well, and those are the H&N Sports. So those 3 pellets work really well. What we're going to try right now, we're going to do the 18.13 grains and see what type of grouping we get. All right. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. And that's 5. And I think that's about as close as you can get about running all 5 pellets through the same hole. Yeah, amazing accuracy on these. Terrific. I mean, look at that. Let's move on to the next segment. Well, let's try our 25 caliber at our usual. We're just going to do 20 yards with this. We just want to see what type of grouping we're going to get. We're going to use the JSB Exact King Diablos. They're a 25.39 grain pellet. I found the two best pellets to use in this gun are those, and then the H&N Sport, the hollow point, and these are a 26.23 grain pellet. And so what I would do is I would lean more towards the hollow points for the hunting, and then I would go with the JSBs more for your target shooting. But as we said before, a little earlier, this 25 caliber is really designed for hunting. But let's see what type of grouping we get. Okay. Just do 5 shots. That's one. And let's do 4. And one more. Wow. Now that is an impressive group. And whoa, with over 45 foot-pounds of energy on that, not too shabby. All right, so you can see that group. Let's move on to the next segment. Okay, now we'll do a little trigger test on this. We'll do the Gauntlet 22 caliber first. But I have to tell you, the triggers on these guns, amazingly easy to work on. Out of the box are around 3 pounds, but literally, I took this trigger apart, I changed the spring, I polished the sear and the contact point with the trigger, put the whole gun back together in less than 20 minutes. They're the easiest triggers to work on, and it's amazing. They're actually a single stage trigger, but when you polish it up and you set them right, it'll almost feel like a 2-stage trigger, especially the way that I have it set up. So let's see what the pull weight is on this one. They're about 3 pounds out of the box. Yes, I changed it, but I'll show you, hopefully at the end of the video I'll have some time and I can show you how I tuned this. But let me show you what this trigger is. There you go, 14.2 ounces. Yes, 14.2 ounces, well under a pound. Let's try the 25. It's going to be about the same, but I'm going to show you real quick. Now the trigger test on the 25, our same little Lyman trigger gauge. I did the same thing to this trigger as I did to the 22, so let's see where we're at. Oh, what is that? That is 14.4 ounces. Yeah, I guess they're within 0.2 of an ounce of each other, so they're basically identical. But I'll show you at the end of the video. I'm going to make some time, and I'll show you what we did to lighten up this trigger. I'm telling you, literally minutes, you can get this trigger tricked out. All right, move on to the next segment. Let's test our Gauntlet 25 caliber at 40 yards. And shooting at my usual spot. Let me show you. Okay, we're going all the way up here. Those are our little targets. We're going to shoot, let's get back here. So we're going to shoot 6 rounds. We're going to shoot 3 rounds. The first 3 rounds are going to be the JSB exact 25.39 grains. And then we're going to shoot the hollow points from the H&N Sport. And those are our 26.23 grains. And those are the ones I would suggest you probably use for hunting. But I want to show you what type of power we get from 40 yards away and what type of accuracy. So the first 3 shots, the JSB, and the next 3 shots are going to be our H&N Sport. So let's see how we do. We'll start from the right, work our way left. Little shotgun shell in the end there. I'd say that's a hit. I'm sorry guys, it took out our next target too. All right. One more egg. All right. Now, these are going to be our H&N Sports. So let's see if we can take that little shotgun shell right off the top of that mirror. So that's a hit. All right. The wife's old mirror. See what the heck we can do with that. Little anticlimactic. But anyway, that's our 25 caliber from 40 yards out. You see how accurate that thing is. It's unbelievable. This is a hunter's dream, that's for sure. Okay, let's move on to the next segment. Now we're going to try our 22 at our 40 yards. Let me show you what that looks like distance-wise and see what the little targets are that we're shooting. Yeah, those are really small targets. Look at that, from 40 yards out. Okay, so we're going to test the accuracy on this one from 40 yards, and I've got some really, really small targets up there, so let's see how well we do. We're going to be shooting the JSB 18.13s from here. And let's see how we do. I apologize, it's getting a little dark. I was trying to get this shoot in before it got too dark. So we're going to go from right to left. Say that's a hit. So if you notice, I set the steel eggs up there, but I put them on a edge. I'm going to try to hit that little bottle first. That one right there. The bottle cap. Okay, now our little egg is on edge, so let's see if we can hit that. I'd say that's a hit. Now remember, we're 40 yards out. I'm hitting the side edge of the little teeny egg. Let's take out that other egg. And we got one little guy left there. Wait a minute. There's another shotgun shell up there. Well, I would say that did pretty well. Are you kidding? This thing did outstanding, incredible accuracy for this type of distance. I mean, I'm amazed every time I shoot it. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Wrap this up with our conclusion here. And as you saw, these guns perform really, really well. Kind of different uses. Obviously the 22 caliber you'd use more for, I would think, target shooting. However, it still puts out 23 foot-pounds of energy. It's very sufficient for hunting. The 25 caliber, on the other hand, putting out 45 foot-pounds of energy. That's insane. So let's talk about the 22. We get about 60 shots per fill. Remember, they both have the same size tanks. It's just that the 22 is regulated at 1100, where the 25 is regulated at 1900. So the 22, amazing. The accuracy, unbelievable. Seriously, we had 0.13, so 0.13 of an inch, okay, at 20 yards. And honestly, 20 yards is no test for any PCP. It's just, that's kind of how my range is set up back here. But you saw the teeny little objects we were shooting at 40 yards. I mean, unbelievable. And you do get, again, I'm going to repeat it, the 60 shots out of it. So that is terrific. And we had a high, shooting the 15.89s, we had a high of 814 and a low of 805. So that was good. So the accuracy on these, wow. 25 caliber, a little bit different. We were shooting the JSB, what were those? The 25.39s. And we were getting, as far as accuracy on that, we were getting a 1/16th of an inch, 0.16 at the 20 yards. And you saw how small objects we were shooting at 40 yards on that during our plinking session. I mean, so the accuracy on these is just amazing. For you to be able to get a gun at this price point, you know, around 300 bucks. I've seen these things on sale where you get 20% off of that. So you just got to look for a sale for these. And again, remember, you do need an air source for these, whether it be a scuba tank or one of the high pressure pumps to pump these things up. But fortunately, you only have to fill them to 3,000 psi. And then again, you're only going to shoot it down to the level of where it's regulated. So you would shoot it down, the 25 down to 1900, then pump it back up to 3000 to get your 25, 27 shots. I just usually do 3 magazines in the 25 caliber and then pump it back up. And the 22 caliber, you got to go all the way down to 1100 and then pump it back up. But anyway, I wanted to leave some room before I tell you what I'm going to rate these things are at. First of all, I'm going to tell you, The Picatinny Rail, these things should come with a Picatinny Rail right there and make life much, much easier for you. But that was a simple process. But let me get into the triggers real quick, and I promised you guys that I would. The triggers on these are one of the easiest to work on. Now I'm going to show you some pictures here. That's your basic trigger with the cover removed. With the cover actually on there, there's a little window that you can see where the sear and the trigger meet. But anyway, there's two main adjustment screws, okay? So you have your upper screw would adjust the pull distance on the trigger. So what you want to do is you want to screw that thing in clockwise, and it'll give you less pull on your trigger. And so in other words, you don't have to pull it back as far. So just do that to your liking. Don't go in too far, because if you go in too far, then the trigger won't engage the sear and you're going to wonder why the gun doesn't cock. So then just back that up. Okay, the other screw, the one below it, that is for your over travel. In other words, when you pull the trigger and it engages, how far does the trigger keep coming back? I like mine set to where right as the trigger engages the sear and it's released. So in other words, once the gun fires, then the trigger hits a wall and doesn't go back any farther. That's easy process. And you just adjust those with an Allen on the top one. You do that one first, so you want to see where it actually engages, and then after it engages, you want to adjust the bottom one. Now, if you're not really good on working stuff like that, you leave the cover on the trigger and you can adjust it. If you want to get really fancy, you can pull that cover off, and then you can polish those contact points. Polish them up with the Dremel. That's what I did. Got them really smooth, and then you re-lubricate it with some type of lubricant as far as the grease goes. And then, if you really want to get fancy, and this is how I got such a light trigger, the very bottom Allen screw there on that trigger, you unscrew that and the spring will actually come out. You can replace that spring. I replaced that with a 20 millimeter by a 4.5 millimeter. And then the wire diameter was 0.457 millimeter. Roughly what that is, there's a lot of Bic ballpoint pens that roughly have the same spring that you could probably put in there. But just be cautious. As you saw, my triggers were breaking under a pound. That's good if you're going to be a lot of target shooting and you're hitting paper targets and you're plinking. But if you're out in the field and you're using this for hunting, I would suggest you use the heavier spring. But it doesn't take much to switch those out. The only thing you'll have to do is take the gun out of the stock. And one little hint here is the safety. You just got to make sure this safety is kind of down and it lines up with the hole when you undo it. So there's a screw behind in this area right here. I'll show you as far as the stock goes. There is one screw right in this area, which is just in front of the trigger, and then you have these two screws on the side. But neither one of these will come off unless you undo the front swivel. So this front swivel has to come off. That just unscrews, and then that will loosen this up when you undo the screws there, and this whole housing will come out. So anyway, but again, if you're not familiar with doing that, don't mess with it. Don't even think about messing it. But that's how you kind of work on that trigger. So there's not a whole lot to it. So anyway, yeah. The performance of these guns, unbelievable. The power that you get out, especially the 25 caliber. So like I said, there's room for both. You could use the 22 caliber for more of your plinking and that type of thing, because you get 60 shots out of it. But that 25 caliber, that thing is an air hog, I'm telling you. 25, roughly about 25 shots. I told you I just go through 3 magazines and then refill it. You can get up to 27 if you're using the single shot tray. However, they're both terrific. They both have a place in my collection, that's for sure. So with that, I'm actually going to give these 5 stars. Like I said, these triggers, you can really turn them into an amazing thing if you put a little effort. I spent about 20 minutes. That included taking the gun apart, polishing the trigger and the sear, and putting it back together. It took me 20 minutes. And as you saw how consistent they both are. And then obviously I popped in the different springs. But that's just to your liking, however you want to do that. But again, thank you for turning in to Airgun Detectives. We appreciate you watching. This is where we take the mystery out of the airgun. And until next time, but don't forget to subscribe, and please check out my website. Thanks again.